What's up, guys? Carolina Jackpot coming at you. Week 3's in the books in college football, and it's time for a recap of my picks against the spread. I have not even thoroughly went through these yet, so don't click off the video, but I'm going to forewarn you, I didn't have a good week. Did not have a good week, but week number 0, Carolina Jackpot, actually, I got it written down here. I actually went 0-2. I didn't have an official video there, but I did predict Arizona and Florida covering that week, and both of them did not. Arizona actually lost straight up. Week 1, I went 18-18, picked 36 games against the spread, 18-18 record in week 1. When you don't have a whole heck of a lot to go on, I don't think it's too awful bad. 13-11-1 last week, the one being a push. And I've kind of skimmed over some of these, and we do have a push again this week. But there are a lot of handicappers out there that had some bad weeks here in week number 3. There's a guy, that Zach Smith, who does the Zach Smith Menace to Society podcast. If you haven't checked that out yet, I encourage you to go over to iTunes or whatever it is, the podcasts on Apple, and check out the Menace to Society podcast. It is hosted by Zach Smith, former Ohio State assistant coach who was let go by Urban Meyer in July of 2018, pretty much to save face. Zach was accused of some domestic violence. He and his wife, didn't get along very well, and she kind of drug him through the mud. And at first, I didn't believe his story. I thought he was full of crap. And he can be a little bit of a hothead and a smart ass on the podcast sometimes, but he's funny, and that's what I like about him. And he's very knowledgeable about college football, and he talks about a lot of the things that you and I, just as casual Joes, don't know about. So that's what I really enjoy about that podcast. So go check it out if you haven't checked it out yet. There's some good information over there. If you don't want to, because whatever you believe, that he's the devil, go ahead. But sorry, I had to let the dog out. Quite frankly, there's two sides to every story, and I happen to believe the guy. There's probably some elements in there that he's embellishing on, but there are with every story. But anyway, he has a guy that he follows on Twitter named Peepaw, and Peepaw has like 10 picks a week that he thinks are like sure things. And Peepaw predicted, he picked most of the same teams that I did to cover spreads. So he and I are probably both in the doghouse together. We just don't know it yet. I haven't totaled these up, but let's see what we got going on. UNC at Wake Forest. This was Friday night. I got this one correct. Wake did cover that spread 24-18. Just barely. They almost let North Carolina get one of those fourth quarter comebacks again that they are becoming famous for now, I guess. So North Carolina will play, I think it's App State next week. Kansas is on the road at Boston College. I had picked Boston College to cover that 21-point spread. They did not. This was a big dud on my part, and Kansas actually did not only cover the spread, they won straight up 48-34. First win since 2008 against a Power 5 team on the road when they beat Iowa State back on that fateful day in 2008. Barack Obama. You guys remember Barack Obama? Yeah. He wasn't even elected into office yet. The election had not even happened yet. The last time that Boston College, Kansas won a road game against a Power 5 team. So Boston College, that is embarrassing, and you went out and laid a big turd on Friday night. I'm sorry, that's terrible. That's a terrible look for the ACC. Just terrible all the way around. Kansas, I think they had 2 running backs to go for over 100 yards. One of them ran for almost 200 yards. You're supposed to have a staunch defense. And I know you lost some off the back end of the NFL last year. Come on, guys. That's bad. Good things you're supposed to have for the home team in these Friday night games as far as upsets. Not the road team. Washington State at Houston. Carolina Jackpot, once again with a big X here. Washington State did win, but only 31-24. So failing to cover the spread there. Speaking of Zach Smith, Ohio State, no problem at all. 51-10 over Indiana. Huge day by Justin Fields and J.K. Dobbins on the road against a Big Ten opponent. So they were 1-0 in conference. Did pick Kansas State to cover the spread against Mississippi State. Didn't think they'd win straight up, but they absolutely did. 31-24 yesterday in Starkville. NC State, you can see here, I had predicted to cover the spread against West Virginia of 6.5 points, and that one was incorrect. West Virginia wins that game. Look for a final score here, I believe 44-27 against NC State. I mean, that some of these teams just go from extremes from one week to the next. I mean, scored 7 points last week against Missouri, and then they come out and explode for 44 against NC State. I mean, it tells us a lot about NC State's defense. Not very good. So West Virginia covering the spread there, getting back in the win column, and maybe something to build on. This could perhaps, I think, turn into a 6-6 team. They have a good coach. They don't have the players that they had last year, but they definitely took a nice win yesterday. Pittsburgh on the road at Penn State, another one wrong. Talking about this one, I mean, Penn State has absolutely blown Pittsburgh out the past few years. So, I mean, just history suggested that Pittsburgh, with their 2,000-yard rushers from last year, not back this year, Penn State would easily cover the spread after 2 blowout victories to start the year. But 17-10 is all it is. We kind of thought Penn State was going to take a step back this year after losing Trace McSorley and that running back Sanders. But, I mean, they looked coming out of the gate, every bit as impressive as last year. Of course, that was against Idaho and Buffalo. They take on a Power 5 opponent, and it's kind of blow for blow there for a little while. So, another one incorrect. Here's another one incorrect. Air Force took the victory over Colorado yesterday, 30-23 in overtime. Mel Tucker takes his first loss as head coach at Colorado. FAU at Ball State. Finally, Carolina Jackpot predicting one correctly. I covered FAU covering that spread. They win by 10. Here's one that was not correct, nowhere near, 66-14. Notre Dame takes care of New Mexico. I was watching the Uncle Lou Your Season Is Over video earlier, and Uncle Lou threw Notre Dame in there and said they played terribly in the first half. I don't know. I didn't watch the game. I just read the box score and, how everything broke down. They were up 38-7 at half. Lou, I don't know how they didn't look good in the first half, but at any rate, Carolina Jackpot didn't look good with that pick. Notre Dame covers the spread. Easy win over New Mexico. USC on the road at BYU. BYU takes the win, 30-27, correctly picking that spread. Alabama at South Carolina. Alabama didn't cover the spread here. This one was incorrect pick. It was a 25.5 point line. They won by 24, 47-23. I went back, kind of watched some more of that game this morning. And, was it a moral victory? No. I mean, there are no moral victories to me. We didn't play well on defense yesterday. We just didn't. For all we did, we played well against the run. I will say that we stopped the run. We held Alabama to under 100 yards total rushing for the first time in like 60-something games yesterday for them, which that's over a course of like 4.5, 5 years. But Tua Tagovailoa throws for his career high in yardage. So, I mean, did he really even need to run the ball that much? They didn't. I don't understand what happened after the first part of the first quarter. And one of my YouTube subscribers here said the same thing. We were putting pressure on Tua. He got sacked a couple of times. And instead, we just totally go away from that. They drop another person into coverage. They stop the blitzing. And he's just hitting us with quick slants all day long. He doesn't throw the ball deep. He didn't throw the ball deep because he didn't have to, because he has three of the most fast, elusive, good, sure-handed wide receivers in the country playing for him. I mean, it was just a little dink and dunks, little slant routes, little 8 to 10 yard ones. I mean, they just killed us all day long. They killed us all day long. That Henry Ruggs touchdown run, just and the Najee Harris touchdown catch. You went down the sideline, just our form tackling on that. It was absolutely abysmal. It was absolutely piss poor. Not happy with that at all. And my son had sent me a text message. He actually went to the game. And if you saw the South Carolina coming onto the field video that I put earlier, he's the one that sent me that. But he sent me a text yesterday after the game and told me that R.J. Roderick, that's one of our linebackers, or safety, I think he plays safety, he got pissed off at me. And I said, why did he get pissed off at you? He said, because I was yelling. He sat really close behind the bench. He said, I was yelling at T-Rob, and he told me to pipe down. I wonder what he was yelling at T-Rob. He probably told him that he sucks, because he does. I mean, they're not teaching form tackling. I mean, taking just terrible angles to the ball. So, and, you know, the refs, I was on that deal yesterday, and, I mean, their calls were garbage. They had a few calls that were just absolute bullcrap, but, you know, at the same time, would it have made a difference in the game if we had scored that touchdown at the end of the first half or had scored on that fake field goal? No, I don't think so. You know, it may have been one touchdown closer in the end, I mean, giving us a little bit of momentum, but, I mean, it didn't make that much of a difference. They got a couple of calls that were screwy against them that were in our favor as well. So going back and looking at that, just, you know, it is what it is. You know, we got outplayed and by superior athletes, but, you know, dang, man. I mean, we've got some talent on this team. Jamias Williams, a defensive back. You know, he was a high 4-star coming out of high school. I mean, he can't form tackle for anything. He cannot. He can't wrap up. He can't. This JT Ibe kid who came from Rice, it's a grad transfer. You know, he's been hurt. I don't know how many times I finally put him in there. He looked awful. Israel Mukwamu didn't look good either. I mean, just a lot of negatives there as far as the secondary goes. A lot of issues that need to be fixed or worked on before next week. And you know, Missouri, a team that you know that got kind of blown out their first game against Wyoming, but they blew out West Virginia 2 weeks ago, or a week ago, and then blew out Southeast Missouri State yesterday. I don't know what you can really glean from that one. Larry Roundtree, the second, you know, running like crazy. I mean, I'm not totally convinced that our run defense is fixed just because we held Alabama to under 100 yards rushing total, because the fact of the matter is Alabama didn't need to run the ball. They didn't need to. Why? Because they passed at will. And I'm sorry to get out here on a tangent and just keep talking about the Gamecocks, but, you know, that game kind of got under my skin a little bit yesterday. You know, the referee thing, it is what it is. There's a YouTuber out there, TJ LSU Dad, and he does some LSU videos. He's a good guy for the most part, I think, but I kind of unsubscribed to his channel because, I mean, he was making some posts all summer long about his hatred for Donald Trump and this and that. I mean, I understand that. I mean, it's your channel. You can do what you want to, but it's a college football channel. That's what you built it off of. You know, I mean, nobody, for, you know, lack of better terms, only a certain segment of people who, you know, follow politics care about that. Now, I don't care about that. I don't care about your views about Donald Trump. I support Donald Trump. And, you know, the constant, you know, bashing of him on there just got kind of old. And what it also got old was his ridiculous butthurt videos that he posted every day about Bama privilege, SEC officials in Bama's back pocket, blah, 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 blah. How about this, LSU? How about go out there and beat them? If his team had went out there and beat them last year, you wouldn't see not nary a video one about Bama privilege with the SEC officials, not nary a one. But, I mean, they did beat them. They actually made them look stupid. So you're going to continue to see those videos, I guess, until LSU wins the game against them. I'm not going to see them because, I mean, I'm not watching this fool anymore. But At any rate, too much off on a tangent stuff there. Let's get back to the task at hand. That's not talking about these games. Stanford at UCF. Carolina Jackpot correctly picked that 45-27 victory. 45-27 victory over Stanford. Iowa State, Carolina Jackpot there, picking Iowa in that one. Carolina Jackpot incorrect. Iowa did win 18-17. Boy, that had to be an exciting game. Florida at Kentucky actually ended up being a push. Florida won the game 29-21. Comeback victory on the road against Kentucky. Kentucky falls to 2-1. Glad to see it. Two of my most hated programs in the SEC that we play. We should beat both these guys this year. We play the way that we did yesterday with some intensity. I think that intensity will do a lot against teams like this because they're just mediocre teams. That's what they are. They're just mediocre teams. Alabama was an elite level team. Clemson is an elite level team. Georgia's an elite level team. These guys are not elite level teams. If we go out there and play with that intensity against Kentucky and can learn to form tackle between now and then, we will have no problems with them. Same goes for Florida. Their starting quarterback, Felipe Franks, goes down with an injury in the third quarter. Knee injury, looked pretty bad, and he's probably not going to play again the rest of the year. In comes Kyle Trask at quarterback, and he led them to several touchdowns and come from behind victory. Let's not make too much of that, though. I think they're still probably in trouble. Trask has seen limited action over the past couple years, and he ain't looked good when he's been in there. Last night, I think he probably just got a bit of an emotional lift from his teammate going down. Now, when the things are placed solidly in his hands this coming weekend, we'll see what he can do. They got Tennessee. That's going to be an interesting one. FSU at Virginia. This is an incorrect pick, and I could believe it, but I couldn't believe it. FSU actually led in this game for a lot of it. The second half, Virginia came back, took the lead there for good at the end, and kind of had to will out a last-minute victory. Had to hold Cam Akers out of the end zone. Florida State, for all that everybody's been making fun of them. Been making fun of Willie Taggart. He's on everybody's shit list, and I get that. The short list to be fired. They are still they're not a good football team. Okay, they're not a good football team, but they aren't a terrible football team. They fall apart in the second half, and in this case, they fall apart late in the second half. They can't finish. They should be 3-0 right now instead of 1-2. I mean, they should have been able to finish against Boise State. They should have finished last night against Virginia. Couldn't do it. But don't cover the spread there. They lose by 7, 31-24. I think if they can just get some of that fixed, just learn to finish some football games, put 4 quarters together, I mean, I still think they can win 6 games, possibly. But, I mean, it's not likely. It's not likely that that's going to happen. Clemson on the road at Syracuse. They win that game. What was it, 41-6? Don't cover the spread. They're incorrect pick by Carolina Jackpot there. And Syracuse had opportunities. They had a first and goal down inside, the Clemson 5-yard line. There at the end of the third quarter, which all they could manage was a field goal. I mean, Clemson's defense tightened up, and credit them. But I had warned and I told people before the season started that Syracuse was not a top 12 team or whatever they were ranked. That was just, some stuff from last year, the residuals left over. Dino Babers just brought this team to Clemson a couple of years ago, lost 54-0. And in 2017, they went 4-8 after Eric Dungy, their quarterback, went down. Eric Dungy took this team a long way. And he's gone. This new kid they got, this Danny DeVito, he's not an Eric Dungy. I mean, he's just not. Missed scoring opportunities. I mean, he threw a nice route down the sideline there to Mo Neal, who got him in scoring position. But, I mean, again, they can't put a touchdown in the end zone. So, Clemson covers the spread there, and that's an incorrect pick. Oklahoma at UCLA. This one was, 48-14 in favor of Oklahoma. Easy win there. I knew it would be, and that should have been like a lock and stock pick. UCLA is just bad. I think the game may have, I don't know if the game's passed Chip Kelly by or if he just doesn't have the athletes at UCLA that he had at Oregon. I think it's a combination of both, maybe leaning a little bit towards the former because, UCLA has always had athletes and they always will. But that was just quite a beatdown and could have been well worse. Arizona State at Michigan State. Another one wrong. Arizona State wins the game 10-7. They played to win the game, and they certainly did. Crazy ending to that one. Michigan State hit a field goal, tied up, sent it into overtime. Whoops, no, they didn't. They had an extra guy on the field, so they have to line up and re-kick it again from 5 yards back, and he pushes it to the left, and Arizona State gets another win. I thought Michigan State was going to be able to put some points up, and Arizona State's defense, didn't think it was solid enough to hold these guys to 7 points, but obviously it was. And Sparty falls to 0-2 against Arizona State the past couple of years, falls to 2-1 on the season. That's a bad loss there, man. That's a bad look for the Big Ten and a bad loss for them. In the final game, Carolina Jackpot did correctly pick Arkansas State at Georgia. Georgia won that game. Was it 45-0? I believe. Let me scroll back through here. This was an early game. 55-0. Excuse me. I gave Arkansas State too much credit. Just totally dismantled them. We are. I think it's safe to say that it's Georgia and then everybody else in the SEC East. I think it's also safe to say that losing all those wide receivers didn't hurt them a bit. Because Arkansas State was not a bad team. They were kind of a middle-of-the-road group of 5 team, and they just absolutely got destroyed yesterday by Georgia. I'll be interested to see what the line is on the Notre Dame-Georgia game when it comes out. Probably some of the opening lines are already out. I just haven't checked them out yet. So let's total this up now. I don't know if I exactly want to, but we have to. Let me get my papers in order. So Carolina Jackpot ending up week number 3. That was a record of 8-11-1 against the spread. Not very good, but like I said, I don't think I'm the only person that tries to handicap some of these games that didn't do very well last week. If you know anybody that did, they're probably in the minority. So for the year, I'm 39-42-2. So I'm actually under 50% for the year right now. It's fine. We will bounce back. Week number 4, a lot of good matchups there. We got a Notre Dame-Georgia matchup going on. Got a lot of conference games getting started up. There's a Michigan-Wisconsin game coming up. Interested to see what these lines are. Planning on getting the video out early and making a comeback next week. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. If you like the video, if you like the college football picks against the spread, please hit this with a thumbs up, share it, and subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. We post some really interesting stuff here all year long. Sometimes it's more interesting than others, but it's windy here. My picks against the spread are my favorite part of the year. So I'll see you guys later. Appreciate it. See y'all later. Peace, and I'm out. Go Gamecocks. Beat Mizzou.